Welcome, Jet fans, to another episode of the Jets Life podcast. Following a Thursday night football game against the New England Patriots, the Jets fall 27-14, ending their two-game winning streak where they had wins against Bengals and the Browns. And this game was a lot of the same of what we've seen for most of this season. Justin Fields just not cutting it as an NFL starting quarterback. The defense allowing other teams to basically move down the field at will for most of the game, at least. There was a sequence of events where, Jets defense allowed Patriots to move the ball, were aided by a missed field goal, a sack on one drive. It could have been a lot worse when you look at the stats in this game versus what the ending result was, but at the end of the day, this was a game that you anticipated a blowout was going to happen, and the Jets actually kept it right at the spread number. I mean, depending on when you chose the line, but I think at game time it fell right at 13 points, and that was the result of this game. So Vegas hit it on their number at 13 points. I think that for a period of time it was 13 and a half if you found that number. But the Jets kept it within striking distance for a while. It's unfortunate, the Jets situation right now. Aaron Glenn can only do so much. You can see that these guys are playing for him. They're fighting. They want to be in these games. They want to win these games. As bad as the situation might be, you can tell he hasn't lost the locker room, which is a big plus. But the overlying issue at this point in time, and let's get right into the noise here, the overlying issue is that they have a quarterback playing football that just simply is doing things that you should not be doing in the NFL if you are an NFL starting quarterback. Justin Fields, 15 for 26 in this game for 116 yards and a touchdown. This is absolutely this isn't acceptable football for an NFL quarterback. 116 yards in an NFL game is unacceptable. And the fact that he's done this particular stat line, actually even worse, 4 times this season, he has thrown for 60 passing yards or fewer. Sorry, adjusting the screen. 60 passing yards or fewer. That's just an anomaly in itself. To have 4 games in 9 starts that he's had of 60 or fewer passing yards. This 116-yard game that we just saw last night is actually, one of his better games when you look at a yardage standpoint. But he was just off. He was terrible, missing open guys. And it 100% wasn't his fault the entire time either. Adonai Mitchell with 3 drops in this game, one on a deep stop and go route that he had Gonzalez beat on that play. A really good corner in Gonzalez at that. So there's some positives there as far as him being able to get open, but you got to finish the play, bring in that catch. There was another pass to Adonai Mitchell on the left sideline, 9-yard, looked like a hitch route type of thing, where he just, completely misfired on that play. Adonai Mitchell wasn't going to be able to make a play on that. And then there was a wheel route up the right sideline that Adonai Mitchell was open for, and you lead the player, you're probably talking about a touchdown there when you look at the play over and over again. With Adonai's speed, you would think he'd be able to kind of go the distance, but he kind of throws like a back shoulder throw, and Adonai Mitchell has to stop, navigate the ball, gets his hands on it, should have caught it, but the fact of the matter is, Justin Fields is not doing it for this team, and it's reaching a point where you really gotta look at this roster and ask yourself, how are we judging this team moving forward when you can't really get a good evaluation on any of these players on how they're doing. Adonai Mitchell, you can look at that play and say, okay, he was open. You can look at John Mechie. You can look at all these players and say, okay, they're getting open. But at the end of the day, it's about doing what's required to get open and then also being able to finish the play. And if the ball's not getting there, how do you know if these players have that, in them to be able to kind of finish those plays? So I know we've been saying it for weeks, basically since the Denver game. When is Tyrod Taylor coming in? And Tyrod Taylor did come in for a half against Carolina and threw those few interceptions in the second half. But at least the guy's willing to throw the ball down the field. And He throws a very catchable ball. It's been kind of the report on him for years and years and years. We are definitely in that realm where the Jets are in a situation where they have 10 days to prepare for the Ravens, which is their next game. They have 10 days to prepare, and what better time? A lot of times coaches like to make that transition to a backup quarterback after a bye week or an extended week just to allow a little additional time for that starter to get reps with the starters. This is the time. This is the time to transition. And I mentioned this last, I think I want to say it a couple days ago, actually. We're at the point where Justin Fields should not be starting, 1. 2, we know Tyrod Taylor's injury history, and at any given point in time, one hit can knock him out for the game plus. It's just been his thing, unfortunately. The guy can't stay healthy. So Jets have to have a contingency plan at backup quarterback as well. Does that mean elevating Brady Cook? These coaches know better than I do, obviously, of how he's progressed from the summer until now. But you can't go in a situation where you bench Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor comes in, immediately he's out, and he's thrust back in. That's basically Zach Wilson all over again with the Aaron Rodgers injury in week 1 of 2023, where Zach Wilson obviously benched for obvious reasons. They go out, find a veteran quarterback, basically saying, we're only keeping you around because kind of have to because you're your salary number. So you'll stick around, you'll back up Aaron Rodgers. And, oh, by the way, Aaron Rodgers got injured. Go back in there, kid, and play 17-game season. That would just be kind of malpractice at this point to go into that situation knowing Tyrod Taylor's injury history and not having a valid contingency plan at quarterback. But yeah, outline the Adonai Mitchell 3 drops. The guy got open, and I'll give him that. But you got to reel in those plays. I'll kind of chalk it up to he's just got here and still learning, how Justin Fields delivers the ball, whatever have you. I really like what I saw out of Mechie in this game. 3 catches, 45 yards, touchdown. A touchdown he got wide open on. Just, the corner tripped up on him, and he just chilling in the corner, waiting for the ball to get to him. Which even that pass by Justin Fields, I don't know if it was one of those situations where Justin Fields just saw the play wide open and knew he could just lob it up there, whatever. But I don't know, just deliver the ball, man. Just get. I don't know. When that ball was in the air, I don't know if anybody else had that feeling oh my God, what the heck is going on with this pass? Is it going to overthrow him? But Mechie's a guy that I forget his contract. I believe he's a free agent at the end of the year. His route running is, and it was good in college too. I remember that was a big thing about him coming out. But his route running is pretty interesting to look at. And with the Jets having a rookie quarterback next year, most likely, you need all the pass catchers that you can get and guys that can get open. They have Garrett Wilson already, who, is open all the time. If you can get a guy like Mechie who can get open on the outside a little bit, mixed with a guy like Adonai Mitchell, you still need a legitimate number 2 wide receiver. But you're looking at a situation where the Jets are going 4 deep at wide receiver with guys that, with second round or greater potential. I believe Mechie was picked in the second round. I know Adonai Mitchell was picked in the second round. Obviously, Garrett. I anticipate that they will be picking a wide receiver within the first 2 rounds next year. So you're talking about a complete overhaul of the wide receiver room with guys littered all over the place with top 60 NFL draft potential. That's an outstanding thing considering what this team has had in the past at the wide receiver room, what other rookie quarterbacks have had to deal with coming into the Jets organization in their first years. You're talking about a situation, if they can bring back Mechie and have Adonai Mitchell kind of progress a little bit, because the guy got open, and you do have to give him something for that. But you got to catch the football. Got to absolutely catch the football. When it hits you in the hands, those are game-changing plays. That deep pass down the sideline, you're talking about the Jets would have had it at the, what was it? I think it would have been 30-yard line, 20-yard line, something like that. Definitely within field goal range. I think that was following – I want to say it was following the Patriots going up 14-7, if I remember right. And you're talking about right then and there, at least 14-10, maybe punch it in because they're running the football effectively to start the game. When they went away from it, that was a problem. But they were running the football effectively with Justin Fields. Punch it in right there, 14-14. And, that's how upsets happen. When a bad team sticks around for too long and keeps punching back every time, the team that's favored hits them first, that's what makes these things happen. And that was a situation where Mechie reels that in, Jets are driving, punch it in, and the Patriots like, what? Well, we're in a little bit of a dogfight here with a team that's scrappy and sticking around. But unfortunately, he drops those passes. I have Mechie popped up here, but I'm talking about Adonai Mitchell specifically. He drops those passes, and you're talking about, giving the ball back to the Patriots. And again, defense, as bad as they played, did that little bend but don't break type of style, and eventually the dam broke, and Patriots were able to get that third touchdown, couple field goals, aided by Justin Fields' fumble, which I got to get on that Justin Fields fumble. I know we've been talking about Justin Fields for, obviously a long time as far as him getting benched or whatever have you. That fumble and the effort or lack thereof of trying to jump on top of it to maintain possession, like, you have guys on this team fighting their asses off, like basically requiring themselves to play perfect football in order for this team to be, remotely into these games. I see you guys in the views. Leave a comment, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel, much appreciated if you can do that. But with Justin Fields, his lack of effort to jump on that football, basically trying to stay on his feet. I don't know if he was trying to stay on his feet, pick it up, and run with it, and that would have been cool and all. But the most important thing about that particular moment is definitely don't want the Patriots getting the ball inside their 20-yard line. And that's exactly what happened. He had his hands on the football, I think, like 3 or 4 times. It seemed like it just looked like it was in slow motion where, like, is anyone going to jump on this damn ball? And Patriots did. Jets defense, 3 and out. Patriots kick a field goal, and I think that was what made it 27. Yeah, that was what made it 27-14. Keep saying it. Think if you're in any of these, content creators, YouTube channels, whatever, you're hearing it over and over again. And it's not just the fact of getting tired of Justin Fields. It is a fact of you see it week in and week out. I don't know what needs to happen for this thing to change. And we're going to get another 2 weeks, another week and a half at least, of who's the quarterback. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you. Like, it's going to be that whole thing all over again. And the weird thing about this game, like, I don't, it was never like it was never like properly announced. Like, leading into the last game against the Browns, I think it was like, it was like 2 hours before the game or something like that. Maybe Schefter or Rappaport, one of those guys, announced that Justin Fields is expected to start this game. Like, there was no drop on social media. Oh yeah, Justin Fields expected to start. Blah blah blah. The only thing you really saw is like SNY put a couple of like, videos out there of, Justin Fields throwing a football on the field, being out with the team, which normally indicates that he's going to be the starter. But again, no official announcement was made by anyone in the media as far as leading up to the game that, Justin Fields is going to be starting. It was always known. I mean, everyone knew it was going to happen, especially 2-game winning streak. Definitely, hard to kind of pull the trigger at that point, even though, you could have made an argument that, they should have lost the week before if it wasn't for 2 kickoff returns, or a punt return and a kickoff return touchdown. No one would have, batted an eye about Justin Fields not starting this game if that were the case. But now there's no excuse. 5 games this year with 120 yards of passing or less. 5 games this year with fewer than 16 or fewer completions. just not going to cut it in today's NFL. Not when you're going up against a guy like Drake May, not when you're going up against a guy like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson next week, even Tua in a few weeks. I mean, say what you want about Tua, but when Dolphins have their game plan rolling, they can put up points, and Justin Fields is not going to be able to keep up with that. So I mean, kind of talking myself through here with this whole Justin Fields thing. It's tiring at this point. How the Jets have found a way to go from Zach Wilson to Justin Fields in a span of 3 years, 2 years even, actually, got to consider Zach was starting in 2023. To go from that Zach Wilson to Justin Fields and to actually be able to tell yourself that we may have gotten worse, it's just absolutely like ridiculous. They say you got to hit rock bottom, in order to turn it around. And I thought we hit rock bottom with Zach Wilson. And damn, was I wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say Zach Wilson was anything, but like, Justin Fields at least has the wheels to make something happen there. I don't know, man. It's so ridiculous that we're comparing Zach Wilson to Justin Fields. Is literally something out there right now. It's ridiculous. Transition over to defense. I know in the offense, I mean, Breece Hall, 58 yards rushing, had a couple of catches. I'd like to see them get him more involved in the pass game. 2 catches for 6 yards. It's just, this guy's a weapon on offense, and in a game where Garrett Wilson's not there, he's one of your top pass catchers, if not the top pass catcher. Going into the season, there was an argument to be made. Garrett Wilson was going to be number one in targets, and Breece Hall was going to be number 2. That was a valid argument. They had a lot of question marks at wide receiver. Mason Taylor was probably that guy that I would said maybe he can be that guy that challenges for the number 2 in targets. But Breece Hall getting 2 targets and 2 catches this game is absolutely ridiculous. I know you're trying to work these things through. You try and get Mitchell involved, Mechie involved, figure out what these guys have. But we know what Breece Hall can do. We saw what he did last week, 42-yard completion on a screen pass for a touchdown. We know what he's capable of. He can flip the game in one play. But the Jets just didn't do enough to get him involved in the pass game. And obviously, you can tell by his stat line, those 2 catches for 6 yards. It's got to be more. It's got to be more involved. And I know you don't want to burn him out completely, but he only had 14 carries as well. Actually, 14 or 15. Whatever it was. It was just not enough. This guy should be getting 20, 25 touches a game. Should be your target for a guy like Breece Hall, especially Garrett Wilson out. Like, who else is gonna get it? 14 carries, 58 yards. So yeah, he had 16 touches this game for 64 yards. 58 yards rushing on a team that doesn't even allow many 50-yard rushers. And the Jets somehow found a way to get 2 of them this game. But yeah, it's Breece Hall's got to get more involved in the pass game. The tight ends actually had a pretty solid game, which is kind of expected for a guy like Justin Fields. We saw what Cole Kmet did for years with Justin Fields throwing in the football. Mason Taylor, 4 catches, 30 yards. Jeremy Ruckert, 4 catches, 23 yards. Ruckert had a critical drop as well on a 4th and 2. I believe at that point the score was – I think that was when it was 27-20. I want to say it was 27-14. Jets were trying to go in and score, making a 1-score game. And they were I think that would have put them in the red zone, or they were like right at the edge of the red zone, something like that. So, bad drop there on 4th down, and it was a broken up pass too. Not like you just wide open in my hands, I drop it. It was a nice breakup by the Patriots defender. I forget who was in coverage on that play. But yeah, you'd love to see a guy like Jeremy Ruckert, who's trying to find a place on this team. Free agent this year. Is this a guy that Jets might want to bring back as a tight end 3 option? You got to make those plays for this coaching staff to believe that that's something that, they'd like to move in that direction with you. Anything else notable on the offensive side of the ball? I think the offensive line, obviously get a few sacks, whatever. that came when the game was basically over and Patriots were able to pin their ears back and just go all out because they knew Justin Fields was in obvious passing situations, which is basically a nothing burger at that point because he doesn't throw the football. So I'm not going to completely fault the Jets offensive line in those situations. The Jets had a pretty solid game from like a third down efficiency standpoint in those critical moments. 8 for 14. Missed on that 1 4th down that I mentioned earlier. It's again, and we're trying to evaluate this team as viewers. The Jets are trying to evaluate themselves, and it gets very difficult to be able to do that when you're looking at this team on a weekly basis and you just don't know. Like, if you ask me right now, like looking at the stat line of things like and playing with basically Engstrand coaching handcuffed. The Jets put up 245 yards of total offense with a quarterback that just cannot throw the ball. Like, that's saying something there. He had a couple plays dialed up that, going to whatever, the tree came from Ben Johnson. He had plays dialed up, try and get something, try and basically find cheap yards in any way possible. Yeah, that pass by Isaiah Williams that, hit Justin Fields in the hands. Tough play. I'm not going to say that, but maybe he's trying anything he can, which, you appreciate that he's trying to do that. But it's just reaching a point. What can you possibly do to get the best out of Fields when the best out of Fields is really just not good enough? Penalties kind of create their way back in this game. 7 penalties, 62 yards. I'll say there is the one on Brownlee, the unnecessary roughness on a play. Was it late? Yeah, it was late, but was it late to like the point where like a flag needed to be thrown? I've seen so much worse. Like, I've literally seen so much worse. I just don't understand. And the refs had the flag in their pocket, and then all of a sudden like throw it late. So as late as he was with the hit, the refs were way later on that with the flag being called. If it was something that they felt oh wow, that was late throwing the flag right then and there, that's one thing. But you kind of got the sense that it was a reactionary thing. Like, they heard the fucking Patriots fans being all pissed off, like, oh, what do you do, whatever. And then, like, I don't know, they played like these refs were like scared, like the Patriots fans were gonna beat them up or some shit like that. Like, I don't know. It was a really weird sequence on that penalty. Again, if it was thrown immediately, whatever. Yeah, it was late, whatever. But the fact that it seemed reactionary to the crowd reaction, that's not how these games should be officiated. With everything going on in this league, well, just in sports in general with the gambling stuff, and you can't be, making anything seem fishy to any degree. But that one, I don't think it anything to do with that. I think that has more to do with it seemed reactionary to the crowd. So credit to the Patriot fans for, pulling a flag out, but yeah, unreal. Number of, penalties from the defense leading to first down. There were some killer ones. There was following a sack by Quincy Williams. Fields is lucky that OSU Academia doesn't have a pass-fail system. Man, I have no idea what the heck is going on with this team and how we have reached this point where I'm lost. I just don't know. I just don't know anymore, like, with this team, how they keep finding the worst quarterback than the one before. Like, if you really kind of dial it back, it's like it's as simple as just get someone who can throw the ball and complete a pass. And has a little bit of, trust in himself to be able to deliver football. May I comes in the draft, maybe someone there that can change our fortunes around. Is it Mendoza? Is it Simpson? Is it Dante Moore if he comes out, which I don't think he's coming out? But man, I don't know how much longer Jet fans can really just have the patience to deal with Justin Fields going. I'm literally done talking about Justin Fields at this point. Obviously, if anyone has a comment, want to leave, have any questions, happy to answer them. But man, I'm getting stressed out talking about this guy. Let's go over the defense. Brownlee came in, put together some physical play a few weeks after the trade was made. Last couple of weeks has not been great for Brownlee. A lot of penalties, which was an issue coming over. I remember, after we made the trade, there was a lot of Titan fans that were not happy that the team made the trade because, I think it was like a 5th or 6th round pick. Put some decent film out there. Definitely a contributor that you can have out there. Obviously, low cost, being a later round pick. No reason to assume that he wasn't going to be on the team for at least a couple more years. The fact that he was traded over to the Jets for basically nothing, obviously got a lot of those fans, a little bit confused and angry a little bit with what was going on. But a big thing about Brownlee was after it was traded, you kind of read those posts, those comments, hear what other people had to say about it. He was a guy that had an issue with being a little handsy in coverage and resulted in some penalties being drawn. So that issue has seemed to found its way here in the green and white. And Jets kind of have to live with that. That's the kind of player he is. Got to try and coach it out of him. Obviously, the Jets have done a good job the last few weeks in the penalty department, but this one was one that, they kind of worked their way back in. 7 penalties for 62 yards. You'd like for a team to stick around 5 penalties tops. Once you get to 5 or more penalties, you're just giving away free yardage. You're basically giving away a player. 7 penalties, 62 yards. You're giving way too much free yardage in these games, especially in a game that you're heavily underdog in. Just can't have that, especially in some situations where the Jets had the Patriots stopped and weren't able to put the finishing touches. Like and subscribe. Dane, you got it. Hit that subscribe button, people. If you don't want to subscribe, I don't know what you're doing, but at least hit the like button. The Jets found a way to set some history through the first 10 games of the season. 10 games without an interception. I believe that ties, actually, the Raiders' record for most games to start a season without an interception. At 10 games, Jets with 1 turnover through 10 games is actually far and away a record. I think there was 4 teams, I believe it was, that have had 5 turnovers through 10 games. And that is the least, which I thought was kind of a higher number than I expected through 10 games, but whatever. 5 turnovers through 10 games was the record. Jets now have 1 turnover through 10 games, a new record. And the Jets had a chance to end that interceptionless drought, but Tony Adams had an outstanding breakup on a deep pass. Stiggers had his hand on it, and Tony Adams playing some good defense, breaking the pass up from his own teammate. And luckily that worked out a little bit better in the Jets' favor because that was on the last drive before the end of the first half, if I'm remembering everything correctly. And the Patriots ended up getting into field goal range a couple plays thereafter, and it was a missed field goal. So kind of a nothing burger in that aspect, except for the fact that, we had our chance at our first interception of the season, and it was broken up by our own player. And, I think when you look at this game, obviously Drake May was outstanding. He's been outstanding all season. Obvious reason why he's one of the front runners for the MVP. But when you look at this game, obviously Drake May has handprint all over this game. And I think from a Jets standpoint, I think today was the first time you really felt the impact of Quinnen Williams. Of Quinnen Williams not being there, obviously. There was a number of instances where you had Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson off the edge, and Drake May was able to just step up in the pocket. I'm not sure if Quinnen Williams is playing football that Drake May is going to be stepping up in the pocket as easily as that is. The front of that pocket was basically getting no push at all. So obviously, looking at this team, when you look at how this game operated, especially for the quarterback, that's got to be a point of emphasis in the offseason. They've got to bolster up something in the front of that defense. I like Jowon Briggs. I like Harrison Phillips. But obviously, something's got to give there because you just cannot have a quarterback able to kind of drop back, step up in the pocket on basically, it seemed easy for most of the game. Pass rush simply was not getting there. The Patriots don't have a great offensive line, especially not like in the interior. The interior has its flaws, especially on the right hand side. Should be able to take advantage of that matchup a little bit on when who's having a not great year, especially considering his salary number that they have there. Again, it's been kind of said earlier, and I kind of started off with this. It's been a lot of the same most of the season with the Jets, from Justin Fields to this defense. I'll give the defense credit. It was lost 27-14, but it just seemed like a different. I didn't feel like the other team put up points like it was early in the year. It felt like it was. Maybe this is just kind of setting a low bar, but I actually felt like the defense played a little scrappy, gave up a lot of yards, but held their own a little bit against a team that's putting up 30 points seems like every week. Again, low bar that we're trying to set for this team. I do give a lot of credit to this team for just not quitting, putting up a fight for however long. The box score really quick. It was a touchdown game going into the fourth quarter. There were opportunities, obviously, to get this game, and again, you're playing handcuffed. There's nothing you can do when your starting quarterback is just simply unable to throw the football. It's the only thing that they can do, stick to the run a little bit more, would be ideal, but apparently Aaron Glenn doesn't want to put Fields in harm's way. He'd rather have Fields leave the stadium with pickaxes and it's ridiculous. All right. Moving along here, touch on the stars of the game, hit on the dunce of the game, which obviously, based on if you've heard me talk for more than 2 minutes, you understand the direction that's going in. Star of the game. It's really difficult because this is a tough one. Nobody really stood out in this game. Wow. Yeah, this is a tough one. If you have any suggestions, leave a comment. The only player I could really think of as far as giving this accolade to is Mechie because of his touchdown. But, the stat line is 3 catches, 45 yards, a touchdown. Tough to give it to a guy like that, but I'll give it to him. The biggest thing moving forward, obviously the offensive line played pretty decent. I'll give it there too. But just going outside the box here from a skills player standpoint, the biggest thing moving forward for this team is there's 2 things. One, offensive line. Number 1, you got 3 young players there. Got to evaluate them, and to the best of your ability, determine who sticks and who goes between Myers, Simpson. Do you bring back ABT, whatever have you? That's number 1 most important thing for the rest of the season. For the next 7 games, you just want to make sure that this offensive line is progressing because So many times the Jets drafted a quarterback and the offensive line sucks. The wide receivers suck. Tight ends suck. The running backs suck. Everyone sucks. And what happens to the quarterback? He ends up sucking. So this time around, you'd like to make sure that this quarterback has at least stability in one of those areas, if not multiple. Number two, touched on it as well. Number two, the most important thing is making sure you have the skill players there. This one is a little bit harder to dissect because of the issues that we've had with Fields. For this one, it's just you've got to see what you have in Mechie. You got to see what you have in Adonai Mitchell. We know what we have in Garrett Wilson. Got to keep moving along with Mason Taylor. He seems like a guy that's, he's very young too. He's like 21, 20 years old, something like that. Whatever he is, he's really young. So, you have him for a long time. And he's making plays. Another 4 catches this game. I got to see where he's at in the season. But the key is you want to see that these players are continuing to progress down the stretch. Yeah, Mason Taylor's at 34 receptions for 276 yards, has the 1 touchdown on the season, which was the one against the Bengals. So, again, you want to see, do you have enough skill player talent? Breece Hall, understanding the free agent at the end of the year, but cannot put yourself in a situation where you're taking pieces off the offense. The whole reason you trade away critical pieces on the defense is so your rookie quarterback comes in with a lot of ammunition around him. And yes, I understand building a defense is critical for a rookie quarterback as well, but not as critical as, what's immediately surrounding him. Because if you can put pieces around him and those pieces can kind of grow with him, you're still on a team that could have an outstanding offense within a 3-year window of time if the quarterback is the right guy. So, again, item number 2, who is skill players? I like what I saw out of Mechie. I like parts of what I saw out of Adonai Mitchell. I'd like to see a couple of catches being reeled in, especially the deep one. It's a completely different outlook, not only for this game, but for that player, if he's able to reel in that catch. But I mean, yeah, see what the film is showing you. He got wide open against a very good corner in Christian Gonzalez. So I'll go Mechie, start of the game. Again, it's not saying much because there was really nobody else to pick. But he had the touchdown and got wide open on that play. Done to the game. Easy one here. Justin Fields, and all of Justin Fields. Although not Justin Fields' legs. I'll give him that. Justin Fields' legs, 6-7 rushing yards. So just Justin Fields' arm in this game was the issue. Got to be able to throw the ball. Got to be able to throw for more than 120 yards. Got to be able to hit more than 16 completions. Like, these are just numbers that he consistently, 4 starts this season with 60 or fewer passing yards. That is absolutely insane. 5 with 120 or fewer. 5 starts with 15 or fewer completions. It's just one thing after another. But yeah, that's where I'll go from there. But that's really all I got. If there's any other comments, anybody want to ask any questions, happy to answer them. You can find me on Twitter at Jets Life Podcast. But mostly, moving forward, 7 games left. What's, are you team tank? Are you team win some games? And when you look at this game against the Patriots, and I'll leave it with this. When you look at this game, this kind of feeds both crowds a little bit. Obviously, you want to win games, and you weren't gonna beat the Patriots. You want to see fight, and I do think we saw fight. I will say that. I don't think this team looked like we didn't get smoked in this game, and that was definitely a fear I had. We're gonna lose this game like 35-10. We're gonna lose it like some crazy score line. And the score was wide, 27-14. But you went into the fourth quarter in a one-score game. And this wasn't one of those fake ones either. It wasn't like the Miami game where they kind of squealed their way back. It was consistently a one-score game up until the fourth quarter when the Patriots hit 2 field goals. But it was consistently a one-score game throughout the duration of this game. And when you're playing in games like that, at some point in time, things change. A play is made that changes the game. Appreciate it. JC Starhawk, you guys fought. Yeah, I mean, we had no shot in this game. There was no doubt in my mind we were going to lose this game. And all I wanted to see was this team just stay in it for as long as possible. And maybe you get a good bounce, but this team doesn't take the ball away. So I mean, that's obviously the bounce you're looking for is a takeaway. Can you punch it in? And they had opportunities. Drop passes were just bad in this game. But the fact that they fought in this game, the biggest thing you can really go into next year with is, do we have the right coach? And I'm not saying that we do, yes or no. But he has not lost this locker room yet. I was critical of him early in the season when we got to the 0-7 start. There was a lot of stuff he was doing that seemed like he just may have not known what the heck he was doing in the situation. And lately, for the past 5 games, there's something there. He seems to be learning from his mistakes to some degree. You're just handcuffed when you have a quarterback that just simply cannot throw the football. And that's just where the Jets are at this point in time. But I'll cap it off here. So just keep this thing going. 7 games left. We didn't play well defensively. We allowed the opening touchdown. Yeah, I mean, that was a good opening script, though, from the Jets. Running the football effectively on that drive with using Fields' legs. That's something that the Jets need to do more frequently. And I don't understand why they don't. Listen, Fields' superpower is his legs. And you allow him to use his legs, team's got to kind of move up a little bit. And maybe it opens things down the field where he sees open guys and he can hit them. But the Jets have got to use Fields' legs more often than they are doing. But 7 games left. Jets have, games versus the Bills, game versus the Patriots, game versus the Ravens, sprinkled in with a couple of Florida games, Jacksonville, Miami, New Orleans, and I'm missing a game somewhere. But when you look at the rest of the season, Jets had a couple wins, one against the Bengals, one against the Browns. Bengals, we all know what that defense is. It's awful. Allowed Justin Fields to score 39 points. That says basically enough of what you need to know. The Browns, Dylan Gabriel might be one of the worst quarterbacks in the league behind Justin Fields. The Jets need to – it seems like going through the season, for the Jets to win, they have to either go against an historically bad unit to some degree that they can take advantage of, or just a terrible offense to some degree. I don't see many more wins. Maybe the Saints, although we still got to see what Tyler Shuck is the rest of the way because he had a pretty solid performance last week. I think you're looking at maybe at this point in time 4 wins at the best. Maybe they still win those Florida wins against Miami or Jacksonville, but again, both those teams will and should be favored against the Jets. Saints are the one I look at and say, okay, that's probably the last truly winnable game. But again, if Tyler Shuck plays the way he played last week, there's no reason to believe he wouldn't be able to beat us. And the Falcons, that was the game I was missing. Again, another team that outstanding running game, pretty decent defense. They will have an idea of how to keep Justin Fields under wraps, you would like to think. But any given Sunday, and we're looking at a team that's probably heading towards a 4-win season at best. Probably picking in the top 5 with that record. and we'll see how it goes from here. Quarterback will be a major need in the offseason. And if you're a Jet fan, enjoy your Saturday football because you're probably scouting who will be the next quarterback for the Jets. If the Jets aren't in a situation to draft a quarterback, it's going to be a major mystery. I am very, very, very intrigued to find out if they find themselves kind of in the lower half of the top 10 and there's not a quarterback there. What do you do? What do you do at the quarterback position? Hit a couple of comments and I'll head out for this one. At least I saw D trying to rip the ball off Henderson multiple times. First, I've seen that. Too bad Rhamondre was. Yeah, if Rhamondre was in there, we probably recovered a turnover. Dante Moore tonight. Okay, I didn't know that. I will definitely be tuning in. Although I don't know, Dean, I don't even know if Dante Moore is coming out. From everything you're hearing, there seems to be a lot of momentum towards him just returning to school. I'm not sure why. If he kills in the college football playoff, you would like to think he'd probably come out. But still intrigued by Dante Moore, and I will watch that game. I don't know if Glenn is your guy. I don't know either, and that's the thing. I just don't know. I saw a lot of bad in the first half of the season, but I've seen him rebound with some good. I don't know. Could be. We'll see. I can't really judge him until I see that he has a quarterback. And I mean, I know it's obviously, why they're in this situation because they brought in Justin Fields, specifically Aaron Glenn did. But it's hard to judge this team right now when, like you said yourself, the team fought. I'm pretty sure, if the Jets have even mediocre quarterback play in this game, I'm not going to say we win, but we're right there with you guys. I mean, we were right there with you guys with Justin Fields playing. So, I don't know. He's not one and done. I'll admit that. That had momentum early in the year. I didn't really ever see it. But if they went 0-17, obviously a lot of stuff is on the table. But I also don't know if he's not the guy. I think he's definitely learning on the job. I think he's learned a few things and he's put those things to action. I'm not pulling my hair out of my head anymore sometimes like I was early in the year because he was doing things that obviously screamed a rookie head coach. And he was that. Dante Moore, probably not coming out yet, maybe 2027. I don't know if I have the friggin' patience for that, man. I just don't know. My question is, who's playing quarterback if we're waiting until 2027? That's my biggest concern. If we're waiting until 2027 and you're telling me Justin Fields is going for another year, that's I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate everyone for listening. Anyone who joined, a lot of fun here. Wish it was more fun. Wish we were talking about a Jets win on this wonderful Friday afternoon, but it's another Jets loss. And yeah, noon beers. It's noon now for us here in Florida, so that's definitely the plan. But if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. Dane is in the chat. He has an outstanding show. He'll be on, I believe, tonight. Dane, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But usually run on Friday, so I assume you're going today too. Dane does an outstanding job. Hit the like button on his channel too. Subscribe to his channel. Tune into him. He's awesome. I've been on a show multiple times, and every single time, him and I have a good time with Murph as well. So yeah, if you haven't already, like my channel, like everyone's channel, subscribe, and most importantly, let's go Jets.